You're watching NewsX. The 151st Inter-Parliamentary Union is taking place in Switzerland's Geneva, with MPs from over 183 countries present there. The Indian delegation includes 7 MPs, including Aprajita Sarangi, Anurag Thakur, Kamaljeet Sehrawat and Sasmit Patra. In the IPU, India participated and highlighted its measures to ensure parliamentary resilience against future emergencies, such as those related to technology and cybersecurity. India's delegation also addressed the Standing Committee on UN Affairs, with Lok Sabha MP Kamaljeet Sehrawat calling for greater transparency in UN appointments. Lok Sabha MP Aprajita Sarangi also strongly rebuked Pakistan for raising the issue of Jammu and Kashmir, delivering India's right of reply to the statement made by Sadiq Sardar Ayaz, Speaker of Pakistan's National Assembly. At Geneva, the MP also spoke at the workshop Breaking the Hunger Cycle, addressing food security, highlighting PM Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, which he said had ensured food security for 800 million people in India. More breaking updates, in fact, coming in now on the broadcast. Lok Sabha MP Anurag Thakur has participated in the meeting of the Standing Committee on Democracy and Human Rights at the 151st Inter-Parliamentary Union. He highlighted how the world's largest democracy is strengthening rights and governance through people-centric policies and schemes. In fact, let's listen in to what Anurag Thakur said as he delivered the statement.
Today we are witnessing an alarming rise in the conflict, crisis and disasters, each devastating millions worldwide. At a time when unity and collective actions are crucial, global humanitarian efforts face serious challenges. International humanitarian assistance is declining, multilateralism is in crisis, and growing mistrust in international institutions is further weakening the global response to major humanitarian needs. In these trying times, India provides a hope. Yes, India provides a hope for the world. India's approach to humanitarian action is shaped by civilizational ethos, strategic interest, and evolving global role. While India supports humanitarian norms and assistance, it does so through a lens of non-interference, pluralism, and regional.
So, Anurag Thakur there, of course, highlighting India's role and, of course, also delivering a very strong message to the world community, of course, at this IPU. Pia Man joining us with the very latest on this story. Pia, take us to the highlights of what Lok Sabha MP Anurag Thakur has said at the IPU.
Absolutely, Uday. It's been a power-packed day here at the 151st Inter-Parliamentary Union in Geneva, as we've just had Indian Lok Sabha Member of Parliament Anurag Thakur speak out. He's highlighted, of course, deficiencies that exist as far as multilateral institutions are concerned. There's a need to make these institutions more democratic, more pluralistic, more reflective of the entire world and not just select countries. We do see that there is an underrepresentation of sort of global south countries in particular. That is something that he has highlighted. But apart from all of this, he's also pointed out, and we've just heard him say that India provides an example. It sets an example as far as, crossing boundaries and providing humanitarian aid to different countries that are stuck in disaster, that are stuck in crisis is concerned as well, because the core theme of the general debate here at the Inter-Parliamentary Union's 151st Assembly is humanitarian aid and assisting countries that are undergoing humanitarian crisis. We do know that there are over 120 such crises, or there 310 million people are currently being impacted by this. And Shri Anurag Thakur has highlighted India's role in extending a helping hand. We've seen recently the earthquake in Afghanistan, before that in Myanmar and Thailand as well. We do remember India also helping Turkey back in 2023 with Operation Dost. The fact that we're sending humanitarian aid amounting to billions and billions of dollars. We remember our vaccine outreach under Operation Maitri as well. So he's pointed out to all of this and, of course, emphasizing that India has set this example, but other countries must also play their part. We all have our rights, but we all have our responsibilities, our duties as well.
Right, stay with us. Pia, more breaking news coming in. Lok Sabha MP Aprajita Sarangi has also participated in the concluding session of the Executive Committee at the Inter-Parliamentary Union 2025. Aprajita Sarangi has participated there in that concluding session. These are visuals coming in of Aprajita Sarangi, Lok Sabha MP, who is part of our delegation at the IPU. Pia Man continues to be live with us on this story from Geneva. Pia, MP Aprajita Sarangi has participated in this concluding session. What was the focus of the concluding session?
Absolutely, Uday. I'd also like to point out for our viewers, Aprajita Sarangi, Lok Sabha MP from Bhubaneswar, is also the Vice President of the IPU's Executive Committee. So she holds a very crucial position. These are basically members from different parliaments that comprise this Executive Committee that sort of set the agenda, the tone, the tenor of what exactly the IPU should be focusing on, what is the theme of this entire session as well. So what the leaders here have done is that they've taken a look back at what's transpired over the last couple of days since the 19th over here in Geneva, and exchanged their views on what exactly has taken place, how should they go about organizing the 152nd session of the IPU as well, which is going to be held in Turkey's Istanbul. That's not all. In fact, NewsX World's editor-in-chief, Mr. Rishabh Gulati, has also had the opportunity to speak to Aprajita Sarangi earlier in the day. We played out that interview as well for our viewers, but just to take our viewers through a couple of points that she'd put forth. She'd, of course, highlighted India's role in encouraging democratic dialogue across the world. She'd also pointed out the fact that India's development agenda is a model that other countries can look to emulate. The fact that we have the Garib Kalyan Yojana, the Anna Yojana as well. We've lifted 25 crore people out of poverty. The statistics speak for themselves. One other thing that she's pointed out quite crucially is the fact that this is a multilateral forum. Problems that exist beyond borders are what is supposed to be raised over here and not really bilateral issues. So if there is a country like our neighbor, Pakistan, that comes forth and unprovoked, slings unprovoked barbs at India, India will exercise its right to reply. And that's what we've done here.
All right, more breaking. Before we turn our focus to more breaking news, Pia, just quickly, asking you about, of course, some of the other highlights of what some of the other MPs have said as well. Of course, Kamaljeet Sehrawat has been participating in some crucial sessions there at the IPU. We also, of course, have already heard Aprajita Sarangi strongly rebuke Pakistan as well. Just take us through all the other highlights of what our MPs have been saying and participating in Geneva.
Absolutely, Uday. There is currently a session that is going on in the main hall of the convention center over here. The IPU Secretary General is speaking over there. Dr. Sasmit Patra is currently representing India at that forum. He's yet to speak. We'll be looking at that. But as far as Ms. Kamaljeet Sehrawat is concerned, as you mentioned earlier, she was at the special session where the United Nations was being discussed. Now, it is India's consistent position that United Nations needs to be a little more reflective of the realities of today's world, particularly the Security Council. We do know that it's quite a small body. And while the UNGA is in a way representative, the main power, the power to execute decisions rests with the United Nations Security Council. And only 5 countries have a veto power over there. So to reflect the realities of today's world, incorporate the global south in a more productive manner at the UNSC was something that she's pointed out towards multilateral institutions as well, to be a little more sensitive to the realities that people in the global south face, whether it comes to the IMF or the World Bank, for example, and, balancing development, but in a more sustainable fashion is something that has been India's consistent position that our members of parliament have been reflecting over here.
All right, more breaking news. In fact, also coming in now, Rajya Sabha MP Sumer Solanki has participated in the Asia Parliamentary Assembly coordination meeting held on the sidelines of IPU's 151st Assembly. 7 Indian MPs are in Geneva to take part in the Inter-Parliamentary Union, with discussions ranging from peacekeeping to humanitarian steps. So Sumer Solanki, Rajya Sabha MP, has taken part in this crucial meet there at IPU as well, Pia?
Absolutely, Uday. And in fact, he's had the opportunity of having a little pull-aside discussion with another one of our colleagues over here Ms. Megha Sharma as well. And what's really interesting is you've pointed out the fact that India has also highlighted its position as far as peacekeeping missions, its endeavor, its contribution to that is concerned as well. That is something that he's highlighted in his session as well. Speaking about Asia, Asia is quite a vibrant continent. We call India itself a microcosm of the world. But if we protract our view a little more and look at the continent at large, it is quite diverse and it is quite large as well. So when it comes to Asian countries, of course, people from parliamentarians from across Asia have come together to deliberate on some very crucial matters. As I mentioned earlier, sustainability was one of the key aspects that have, been debated and deliberated about over there. That's not all. Artificial intelligence as well, Uday, because we're in an era where, children to the elderly, everybody is using AI, whether it's for deep research or it's just to make a grocery list. So AI is a double-edged sword, as we all know it. It's a boon, it's a bane. We all know the fact that deep fakes exist. So parliamentarians have also been discussing, particularly in Asia, where Asian nations are looking at harnessing technology in a more sustainable fashion. And bringing about policy frameworks is a little bit challenging in this domain. So this is also something that has cropped up in discussions.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, Pia, stay with us. More breaking news coming in. Pakistan's National Assembly has now tweeted, and I quote, that the 151st IPU Assembly in Geneva, Member of Parliament Mohammad Shehbaz delivered a powerful address emphasizing that lasting peace cannot be imposed by force but built through dialogue, inclusivity and cooperation. He highlighted Pak's sacrifices in the war on terror, 90,000 lives lost and over $150 billion in economic damage, and reaffirmed Pakistan's unwavering commitment to regional peace, humanitarian responsibility and inclusive governance. Pia Maan is live with us on this big story. Pia, Pakistan's National Assembly putting out this tweet, putting out what their Member of Parliament has said at the IPU.
Absolutely, Uday. And, this is something that Ms. Sarangi had told our editor-in-chief earlier in the day. They have a tendency of doing this on practically every multilateral forum, whether it is here in Geneva, whether it's in the UN headquarters in New York as well, some key institutions that are there in Vienna too. This is a standard playbook that Pakistan follows. It, of course, always tries to play the victim. We all remember how Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State of the United States, had warned them about a decade back that if you sort of nurture snakes in your backyard, it will one day come and bite you back. We have been seeing a slew of some tragic terror attacks taking place in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa recently, as well as Balochistan. But somehow, we also know the fact that terror cells were struck by India earlier this year under Operation Sindoor, and the Pakistan Army decided to bat for the terrorists over there and then targeted civilians within India as well. So these statements are a regular rhetoric that comes out from them on multilateral forums.
Absolutely, but it's very important then, that's why, Pia, to counter this, narrative, to counter this kind of rhetoric as well, and to make sure that we debunk the false propaganda that Pakistan does and, does at multiple international fora, as our MPs there have done, and I'm sure they will continue to do so.
Absolutely, Uday. And as I've mentioned, we've run the interview of Ms. Sarangi earlier in the day as well. And this is what she pointed out. India has exercised its right of reply earlier at the IPU's 151st Assembly when it was attacked unprovoked. And when bilateral issues were raised at this multilateral forum once again by our neighboring country, India did in fact choose to exercise this, because for India, it is a matter of self-defense. Any self-respecting nation, sovereign nation, would do that as well. And this is also something that the world understands as far as India's position is concerned. Other major countries across the globe, all those who are gathered over here, do understand India when we put our point forth and set the record straight.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, let's talk then about the way forward. What is expected in the next 24 hours? What are the next crucial sessions and the next crucial discussions expected at IPU? Pia?
Absolutely, Uday. Tomorrow is the very penultimate day of the Inter-Parliamentary Union. We're expecting, in fact, the closing resolutions to be voted upon. There are a lot of members over here who are concerned about the fact that whether these resolutions would result in concrete action in the future or not, but that is to remain to be seen. Some of the emergency resolutions have already been tabled and discussed, including that of illegal child adoption. But we're looking at artificial intelligence, food security as well, human rights, which is the key theme, the core theme of this entire 151st Assembly of the Inter-Parliamentary Union. All of this is on the table to be discussed tomorrow. Sustainable development as well. They have been discussed in depth over the last couple of days since the 19th, but tomorrow is a day that we're looking at all of these sort of loose threads, these different discussions then being tied together in and being concluded in one concrete manner.
All right, more breaking news, in fact, now coming in as the Inter-Parliamentary Union adopts the anti-scam resolution. The ASEAN Parliament for Human Rights has urged ASEAN members to align national laws with human rights standards, strengthen regional mechanisms in cybercrime, protect victims, not just data. So this is something that the ASEAN has also urged its member states as the IPU has adopted this resolution, Pia.
Indeed, Uday. And what's important is to see the context in which this is taking place. We've seen a lot of news stories come out, particularly from Southeast Asian countries, including Cambodia in recent times, where people, foreign nationals, are lured in, then their passports are taken away from them, then they are forced to indulge in cybercrime and scams as well. This has happened recently with a South Korean national who was found dead. Tragically, there was a high-level delegation that visited Cambodia from South Korea as well. There were almost 300 people, South Korean nationals, who were involved in all of this. That's not a story exclusively for South Korea. We do remember last year when 18 Indian nationals were also repatriated from Cambodia. So there's a growing concern regarding cybercrime, regarding the fact that phishing takes place, and then innocent people who are looking for livelihoods abroad are then lured into carrying out these crimes. So this is one of the very crucial aspects that has been addressed by ASEAN nation, and then they've come out and put about this anti-scam resolution.
All right, appreciate you joining us, Pia Man, with those live details from Geneva. Let's slip into a short break.